Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from the Korman Productions Deep Dive TV podcast. My co-host Stacie here to talk about The Institute, Season 1, Episode 7, titled Hide. This is the penultimate episode of The Institute, Season 1. That's pretty shocking, actually, that we got here this quick.
I know, being only 8 episodes long, and we got 2 in the first week, so That's only, 7 weeks? It's going quick.
Yep. And the episode's description reads as follows. Luke and Tim go on a desperate search for help as Sigsbee uses all of her formidable assets in a last-ditch attempt to keep the Institute's secrets. The episode has a teleplay by Sam Sheridan, only one writer on this episode this week. The episode is directed by Jack Bender, our friend, who will, of course, also be directing the season finale. This is based on a book by Stephen King. Before going further, I'll tell you a couple things. One, this is not a spoiler-free podcast. If you haven't watched the episode, I highly recommend you go and check it out, and then come back and give us a listen. Secondly, if you're listening on the platforms of this podcast now, please follow, and feel free to check out our YouTube channel, Korman Productions, where additional content can be discovered. If you're already on our YouTube channel, please like, share, and comment, and subscribe to our channel. Shoutouts this week.
All right.
I got one, once again, for your husband, Adam S. Wilcox.
Yes.
Who had a birthday a couple of days ago now. He turned 45, and like I said in the Revival podcast, I'm not far behind him, so I must refrain from making fun of him for being old.
We're all old.
Yes. And shout out for Quantum Leap the Revival, which is making its debut on Netflix. By now, it's been a couple of days for that as well. Hopefully that's getting some decent viewership so it can maybe receive a second life. And, alright, so shout outs related to this podcast. Latrice, she says, I just want to say that I'm sorry for all the suspicion that I directed towards poor Maureen. R.I.P. to her. Well, alright, to be fair, Latrice, I'm pretty sure the show wanted us to be suspicious of her.
Right.
They didn't want us to fully trust her.
I think even Maureen didn't fully trust herself.
Right, exactly.
She didn't really know what side she was on for a while.
Yeah, she was kind of fence-sitting there.
Yeah.
Alright, so also, I was initially surprised that you guys didn't like episode 6. I thought it was a bit slower, but I still liked it. On the other hand, I agree with you, the issues you pointed out. This is why I love your podcast. You are so detailed-oriented. You not only pick up on small intentional clues, but all the unintentional continuity errors. Also, I finally have a comment that's not ridiculously long. You know what, Latrice? My voice box really does appreciate that. But also, I do appreciate all of your thoughts as well. So, make your comments as long as you want them to be. Also, okay, so I had actually posed a question to her because I wasn't totally sure if maybe we were a little too rough on this episode. She says, I don't think you were too hard on it. You were just passionate about all the foolishness going on. I also picked up on the weird time jump and some of the other issues you pointed out. I just let it wash over me so that I could rush to listen to your podcast. Your breakdowns are more than half the enjoyment that I get out of watching the episodes. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't watch them the day they dropped, or would just skip some weeks and binge to catch up. Well, thank you very much for that.
I know, that's great feedback.
There was at least one person who thought we were too hard on the episode. I'm not going to shout them out because they're
by name, because you obviously are shouting them out.
I mean, I guess so. Their comment did kind of border on not being constructive and being a little trollish.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it's something I wanted to address anyway. Where we thought that we hate this episode, this series. That's not true. We don't cover and spend all our time talking about things that we hate.
Yeah, we're spending 6 to 8 hours a week on this series between watching and rewatching and taking notes and recording and then editing and uploading and following up with. We're not doing this out of hatred.
No, absolutely not. I will quote a Mary Louise Parker character in an episode of The West Wing where she basically said, I will keep poking it with a stick. That's how I show my love. That's absolutely what we do here. We just comb through things with a fine-tooth comb. We look at things very deeply. We look deeper than the average person is going to look at it. We come up with the problems.
It is the Deep Dive podcast.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what we do.
Yep.
But it doesn't mean we don't love it.
Oh, absolutely. And, that was just we really did love the first 5 episodes. We just had a lot of problems with episode 6. But yeah, that's enough of that. Sprinkle Kitty says, Gorky Park is in back half. It's the room where Iris and all the other brain-dead kids are. When the surviving twin is brought there, one of them says, this one gorked out early, and later when Tony stops Maureen for a towel, someone mentions how the girls made a mess. Or, I'm not sorry, the Gorks made a mess. And yeah, we kind of figured out what Gorky Park was when we watched this episode.
Yeah, episode 7 really explains it.
Yeah. Electric Pole 864 says, I rewatched the episode and didn't find the shot of the wrong ear you said after Kate died, right? Alright, so this person sent me on a little quest to watch the entire episode of episode 6 again.
Yes, the actual broadcast episode.
Right.
So when we record our podcast, we get screeners from the network. MGM Plus sends us the episodes early so that we can prep and record, and that's how we get our podcast out to you the day that the episode drops. Otherwise, you'd be waiting days for it, right?
Right.
So yeah, what we watch is not always necessarily the same as what ends up being released to the public.
Now, thanks to watching this episode again, thanks to Electric 864, I noticed that they in fact fixed the mistake with the error.
They cut that clip right out, which I said would have been easy enough to do. It was just like a second blip of him on the screen.
So that seems to indicate that they noticed that.
Somebody noticed, and they fixed it prior to air, which is awesome.
Yes, indeed.
But they didn't fix any of the other, continuity errors. I mean, they couldn't. Those weren't easy editing problems. But.
No, those were much bigger problems. But also, I read the book by Stephen King, and Maureen literally did what she did, but in another location in the Institute, probably because of the feeling of guilt, mostly to cause a distraction. The Kate part wasn't in the book, and he also assumes Maureen didn't want to be tortured to reveal Luke's location, and that's why she killed herself. Alright, those are good explanations. They're not really presented to us within the episode itself.
Right.
It's actually the least of my problems. The biggest problems with the episode were all the timeline things. Yeah. Like, for instance, Luke walking up the red steps and then being like, you need to take me to the red steps. Buddy, they're right behind you.
You were just there.
Right. And also the fact that it's like, I was actually watching episode 6 the second time, thanks to him.
The third, fourth time.
Yeah.
Because most recent time.
Right. Because I was trying to give the episode the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, oh, well, it is a little lighter here. Maybe the timeline issue isn't so bad. But then you point out, Dave, what were they doing for 5 hours in the woods? Like, still, makes no sense, regardless of what way you slice it. What would have fixed it is if they had never gone to daylight. If they just stayed dark.
Yeah. I mean, we could have done this whole thing in the middle of the night.
Right.
Why is it morning?
Right. So if we'd done that, it would have seemed like a couple of hours.
Or if we left later in the night.
Right. So we would have still had those, some of the problems that we had with the episode, but they wouldn't have killed the episode for us. But yeah, that's all I got for shout-outs. Do you have anything?
I do not.
Okay, so Stacie, your thoughts on this week's episode.
Okay, so it's a good episode. We're finally in a place where all the different characters are interacting, like the Institute characters and the town characters, and I love that the stories are fully mingled at this point. We get some clues on what side now. Unfortunately for a lot of them, too late.
Yes.
I did find some more, timing issues with this episode, but there's a couple things where it's still, an issue. Notably, somehow it was early morning, right? And we were wondering where the night went. Suddenly it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon when we get to the station, which is supposedly a 20-minute drive away. So how is it 1 in the afternoon now? Where did the whole morning go all of a sudden?
Right.
And then one particular line we get from Drew, which we'll definitely talk about that when we get to that part of the episode. I have a big problem with that one. But outside of those little moments, it's a pretty good episode. I'm eager because this is the one, it's the penultimate episode, is really just setting us up for what's about to happen in the finale, and I can't wait to find out.
Yeah, we get a lot of good stuff in this episode. It's definitely an improvement over last week. Like you said, there still is some issues. I mean, there's never been a piece of media that does not have issues in it.
Right.
In order to tell a story that you want to tell, sometimes you just have to fudge things. That's the way it goes, but, we're, of course, going to point you out. So there's that. Do we have anything else to say before diving in?
I think let's just go for the scene by scene, and I'm sure we'll have plenty to say along the way.
Alright, so the episode starts with Tim and Ashworth watching Maureen's video. Okay, so actually, right here, maybe we do get a little bit of a hint as to Maureen's motivations for maybe wanting to off herself. She's narrating this video. It basically starts with her addressing Luke specifically, saying, if he's watching this, he's out and she is dead. And she's right on both accounts. She tucks the phone in her coat, making a little hole to record things on the Institute. You had actually asked me a question. How did she get that the footage off of her phone into a flash drive?
Right.
It is possible. You would need like an adapter, which means you would have to have some kind of foresight to know that
she
you were
had
going to do
to
this.
have planned to make this video and get it to Luke.
Right. Because you don't just walk around with that type of adapter, nor do you just walk around with a thumb drive. So,
nor do they even just walk around with their phones in this place.
Right,
their phones are kept at security, so I don't know how she even got the phone and the thumb drive and some adapter to put it on the thumb drive with her in the middle of her shift.
Yep.
I mean, the problem there is it was kind of presented to us that it was in this same shift that Luke went to her and was like, are you going to help me or not? And she finally agreed to do it.
Right.
Like you said, this would have taken some foresight. She would have had to have been planning this already to help him, or at least to do something. Like, she was planning on making a video, whether or not it was specifically meant she knew Luke is leaving today or not. But I don't know, unless she had this stuff just stashed in the Institute somewhere, like already. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I can't see why she would do that, but yeah, so she's basically describing Gorky Park. We see that. She says when they get there, they are pretty much goners, so that means Iris is done for as far as she's concerned. This is intercut with scenes of Maureen being wheeled to the crematorium by Tony, who almost looks regretful and human. I don't know if that's me projecting myself into this and seeing that there. That's that which is not there. But he does kind of look a little bit like...
I didn't pick up on that. I mean, it would make sense that he cares a little bit more in this moment about a coworker, someone who he spends a lot of time with, versus one of the kids who he's compartmentalized himself from the beginning to know they're going to die.
Right.
So maybe a little bit, or maybe he's just like, I don't want to be doing this task.
Right.
And dealing with the body.
This is tedious. I don't want to lift the body. I'm lazy. But anyway, we see a shot of her body, which looks like it's been dead for far longer than a couple hours.
Yeah, her body's looking pretty...
decomposed.
Pretty dead.
Yeah. We also see shots of Tim and Ashworth watching the video looking horrified. Ashworth seems especially horrified when he sees the crematorium, and we hear basically Maureen talking about feeding the machine, and what the machine needs is children, and that the people here don't necessarily think of themselves as evil when they're doing the job, but I mean what they are doing is clearly evil, and I think what she's expressing here is her guilt.
Right.
So it does perhaps shine light on perhaps what she did in the previous episode. Maybe a little bit.
Right. I think maybe what she's trying to say is, I was helping these people for a greater good. Mm-hmm. But then you don't realize once you're in it,
like the human
horrors
cost
of what you're doing until you step out of it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she does specifically say that the machine needs children to run, which is interesting.
Yes.
And she shows everything. She shows all the kids in recovery. She shows the incinerator, makes it very clear what's happening to these children.
Right. So Tim, after watching this video, approaches Luke. He's very emotional. He's basically, he seems to want to say something comforting to Luke, but what can he possibly say? He basically only forms like half a sentence. He doesn't even really finish a thought, trying to find the words, but really failing to say anything. Luke.
I was just going to say also about Gorky Park. You had discovered after we recorded last week that Gork is actually a word where this whole thing comes from. The definition of Gork is a terminally ill patient whose brain is non-functional and the rest of whose body can be kept functioning only by extensive use of mechanical devices, meaning they're unconscious, basically.
Right.
Coma patients are Gorks in medical terms.
I'm glad you actually looked that up again and put it in your notes, because I completely forgot to do that. But
so that explains why that's what they call this room.
Right, and I was actually very surprised to find that was an actual word. But yeah, Luke says, well, now you know. Ashworth asks, what in the holy hell did he just watch? And you know what, at this point, what I expected to happen here is a dramatic pause followed by Luke saying, "The Institute," and then credits. But that's not actually what happens. If I had been writing this episode,
remember, credits already happened. We don't have cold opens in
the
series.
Right, I do forget that. But if I were making this series, that's probably how I would have ended that scene. But yeah, what actually happens, Luke says nothing. He just kind of looks down and looks regretful, and I'm not sure how to describe
I really did like the way they started this episode by just showing us the tape, right? We ended the last episode with, we better watch it. And then instead of making us sit through 15 minutes before we find out what's on it, they just show it to us, like directly, like we're watching the video. And I think that was really good.
And then we cut to Sigsbee and her crack team, which includes the Nina Colada's character.
Well, the character is Nina, played by Martina Colades.
Well, I really screwed that one up. But they're basically putting on...
And the other character is Mike.
Right. But we don't care about Mike. Just kidding. We care.
I care very much about Joel DeLong. Thank you.
All right. So they're putting on FBI windbreakers, and they're going in hot. They're using euphemisms to cover the fact that they're basically saying they're going to kill everyone and get rid of the bodies. But Sigsbee says that they should be prepared for the night knocker to be on high alert. Nina says that at least he won't be too smart. And Sigsbee takes offense to this, like, what do you mean by that? It's like, oh, those jarheads in the military or the cops. And actually, she doesn't even say that. She basically starts to apologize, and Sigsbee's like, yeah, well, my dad, who was Army for 26 years, has like a master's degree and a doctorate and 3 master's degrees. So shut up about, calling people who work law enforcement or in the military are stupid. And it's interesting that she takes offense to that. It's interesting that she shows a little bit of humanity here and even expresses some kind of grudging respect for Tim.
Right. Well, she knows not to, discredit him and to take him seriously here.
Yep.
And, he's someone that on different circumstances they might look to recruit.
Right, yeah. Drew tells Tim to put on the cuffs. Tim tells Drew to calm down. Drew tells him he knew the chief for 20 years and just shot him. He's only known Tim for 2 months, so what do you think I'm going to do you? And, of course, that's very incorrect. That timeline is very incorrect as far as...
okay, yeah. I think you just skipped, like, half of the episode.
Oh yeah. I would say...
Back up a minute.
All right. Luke, meanwhile, wants to form a commando raid to storm the castle, but Tim is trying to tell them that they don't have the manpower for that. In the middle of this argument, Drew comes back. Ashworth tells Drew...
This is Drew's first... Yeah. We haven't seen Drew in episodes. He's no coming back. This is him entering the scene for the first time.
Right. Yeah. Basically, Ashworth tells Drew he's in charge. He's going to take these 2 cops He's going to take these 2 people, Luke and Tim, to Portland to meet the FBI. He knows the SEC down there, and he's rock solid. SEC stands for Special Agent in Charge, in case you were curious. Drew tries to talk him into letting him take them, but when that doesn't work, Drew just shoots him in the back, killing him.
Yeah, he was trying to get out of the situation by being like, I'll drive him. I don't need to be in charge. I can't handle that. Really, because he just wanted to get Luke and Tim.
Right.
But when the chief wasn't having it, he's like, I'm going to shoot the chief.
Yep, and so I guess...
Yeah, that's an important part not to skip over.
Right, yes. So Ashworth is not going to be in a season 2 unless we see him in flashbacks for some reason.
Unless we have a crossover with Revival and bring everybody back to life.
Okay. Or maybe he has like a twin brother also.
Twin brother?
Yeah.
Or we can go the From route and have hallucinations of
there
people.
We go. Okay.
Plenty of ways we can bring this actor back.
Drew tells him to put, and now we're back to the point where Drew is telling Tim to put on the cuffs.
But before you do that, let's talk about the line that you read it before I told you skipped the important part of us killing a character, and revealing that Drew is in on it.
Yes.
Like this was that reveal.
Yeah.
I had suspected there was a cop involved. Here we go. It was Drew.
It's not Wendy. It's not Ashworth. It's Drew.
It's Drew. He killed Ashworth. So Ashworth wasn't in on it.
Of all the people to recruit, Drew.
I know, right? Like, it goes back to what we said. Everybody that works for them is incompetent losers.
Yes, basically.
Like everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But no, the 2-month line. I want to talk about that for a minute because this is the one line that just totally throws me out of this whole story. Because it hasn't been 2 months.
No, there's no way.
Drew tells Tim, I've known you, 2 months? I feel in my soul that the script said 2 weeks.
Right.
And the actor misspoke and said 2 months and nobody fixed
noticed.
it.
Nobody noticed, yeah.
I want to get a hold of the script because I feel like 2 weeks is the line. We've been told over and over and over the whole season that the kids stay in front half for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We know Iris was there for 13 days. We know that Kalisha was there for 19 days, but that's because she had chickenpox quarantine for a while.
Right.
And we know Luke was, lying to stay here longer, but not 2 months longer. They would not have drawn this out 2 months. And all the other kids haven't been moving. There's no way they just stopped moving kids for 2 months when they only ever last 2 weeks.
Well, they weren't going to move George because they don't care about George.
They forgot about George.
Also, the writers, directors, and anybody involved with this episode also forgot about George because he's not in this episode
or mentioned in this episode.
I do appreciate that they give me this running joke to keep doing.
I really hope George does something in the finale, please.
You know what's going to happen?
They're going to forget about him. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. All the kids are going to escape. He's just going to be sitting in the
28 back half kids, and George is going to be in front half.
Where did everybody go? Why is there nobody here? Anyway.
It hasn't been 2 months. I refuse to accept that Drew is wrong. I refuse to adjust all of my thoughts on this series to think that this 2 months have passed. It doesn't make any sense.
Also, a normal person does not mistake 2 weeks for 2 months. I mean, I could see, someone getting a little confused after a couple of months about the exact timeline, but they're not going to be know someone for 2 weeks and be like, oh, yeah, I knew you for 2 months. But, that's
the one line that I have an issue with, and maybe they changed it. Maybe it's ADR'd in air.
Maybe.
That's one we got to look for.
Yeah, we'll definitely look at that.
So if you guys didn't hear 2 months, let us know. But we won't be able to watch that until after this is already released to you. So we'll know then.
Yep. So Drew has him lock the kid to a chair because the kid is who they really want. Tim does so while apologizing to Luke. And then Drew tells Tim to do it himself. And he's going to know if he doesn't do it right. Tim does so and demonstrate how it's for real. Drew, meanwhile, calls Stackhouse. And Stackhouse says, good. And Drew ends up going to the office to talk to him some more. But Hendricks comes in to interrupt this conversation. Stackhouse wants to move Avery to do it fast and dirty. He's just using the tank. But Hendricks thinks it's a bad idea as Avery's a wild card. But Stackhouse says there's a keyhole in 2 hours, so just do it.
They need Avery for this keyhole, and I don't understand why. There's 28 kids in back half.
Right.
Why do we need Avery? I'm very confused by this whole, we have to move Avery today for this keyhole business.
I don't know, but apparently they don't care to get George in there.
You're right. Wasn't George ready to go?
He was.
Send George.
Right.
If we have to have another body. But why do we need a body? There's 28 kids. Can't one of them do it? I'm so confused by that.
Right. So he gets back to the call with Drew. Drew tells him that Ashworth is dead. Stackhouse doesn't even blink. This is a stark contrast to the little bit of humanity he showed last week. Tim, meanwhile, is trying to get a paperclip.
And we're told the team's going to be there in 20 minutes.
Yep.
The team being Sigsbee
and Nina and all that.
Yeah.
And Mike.
Yes.
He can't reach it. Drew finishes the call and makes a dumb decision to drag the body of Ashworth out of the office.
He's like, I can't look at this anymore. So instead of just covering the body, he starts dragging it across the floor, causing this giant blood trail.
I want to
ask... You're making cleanup a lot more difficult, Drew.
I want to ask, who hired this guy in the first place? And
for the cops or for the institute.
Exactly. Who looked at this guy and said, you know what, this is our man? Because damn.
He's a great double agent, right?
Yeah. He might be the most incompetent double agent in the entire history of double agents.
We already learned, a few episodes ago with the gas station incident, that he's a terrible cop.
Right.
And now, he's the asset that the institute is putting the fate of the world in their hands.
Meanwhile, they're mentioning the fact that Ashworth has the thumb drive in his pocket because he put it in there just before he got shot.
Right, so the question is, we got to get it, how do we get it? And we don't like that it's leaving our sight.
Tim tries to get Luke to move the paper clips with his mind. Luke is basically like, look, I can't control this. I have to be really upset. And Tim's like, you're not upset enough?
Rightfully so. Dude, you got enough to be upset about.
Right.
If you just watched the chief get murdered, you're handcuffed to a bench, there's people coming to kill us.
Right.
What more do you need to get upset about?
I appreciate Tim pointing out this and not making me say it.
Right. No, he was very like, dude, like, get upset then. You literally just moved a whole branch.
Right.
I'm asking you to move a paperclip.
Luke attempts it and manages to knock it on the floor. He couldn't get it just a little tiny bit closer.
Which Tim ends up saying to
Right,
him, and
yeah.
Luke goes, "Please, you do it next time."
I do love the chemistry between these two characters who has spent a lot of the series off not on camera together.
Yeah, they're great together.
Yeah, but yeah, so it is close enough for Tim to grab it. Drew comes back. There's a knock on the door. Drew goes to get it, and this is of course Sigsbee and the team. Tim takes the opportunity to get the handcuffs off both of them, and then they escape. Sigsbee and co. enter, and of course Tim and Luke are gone. Sigsbee says,
and Drew is proving his incompetence.
Right, and she still wants this guy along. So Sigsbee goes with her crew to try and find them, and Drew is also going in the car. And my note here is literally like, why is he going at all? He's useless.
Yeah, they should have made him stay with the body so nobody can discover it.
I'm sure he managed to even fuck that up.
I mean, yeah.
So Tim and Luke run to the gas station.
On foot.
That we've seen a couple of
I'm
times.
not sure why they didn't take Wendy's car again.
They just left it there. I'm sure she's really happy about that. The lieutenant who we last saw getting wheeled into an ambulance is here.
Let me find his name. Gutale Dobira.
And he's grateful for Tim having saved his life. He then notices Luke all cut up and asks, "Is there trouble?" Tim wants a car, but Sigsbee is soon to arrive, so instead he just asks to be hidden, and they are hidden underneath the passageway. And my literal thought when we were watching this episode is secret bootleg tunnel.
You got to watch our revival podcast to understand that one. Yeah, it was definitely giving like Underground Railroad vibes.
Yeah,
I have a secret room where I can hide people.
Right. I mean, it's probably just a storage room, but still.
I mean, under the floor with a carpet over it. Something's happening here in this establishment.
Sigsbee comes in and asks about Tim, saying he's trafficking a child. And at this point, you're like, okay, just say he was here, and then, or him, but he wasn't here, or something along those lines. He does one better. He says, "Yes, I saw him. He went that way."
Right. Also, it's a really good thing that Tim already established this trust with this guy and saved his life.
Right.
Otherwise, it'd have been pretty easy to believe this person in an FBI suit with a picture of this kid and say this kid's in trouble.
Right.
Sigsbee has a pretty good cover story here.
She does. And he says, Sigsbee grabs a bag of chips. At first, it looked like she was just going to take the chips and run off with it.
Yeah.
But Mike ends up giving him some money.
Right. So they're not criminals.
Right.
They just kill people. But they pay for their food. They're not stealing.
I also let's see, murder versus stealing. I think there's
stealing chips.
Yeah. I think there's a big difference between those two things. But also, I have expected Mike to then shoot the attendant, but he doesn't end up doing that. He just ends up leaving after getting the a fake vehicle that they left in.
Yeah. The gas station guy tells him they left in a black Dodge Charger headed towards Portland after buying coffee and sandwiches.
Right.
Which that part of the story should have. I mean, it does get Sigsbee's spidey sense up, but it should have immediately, because they're on the run. They're not stopping to buy sandwiches.
Right.
That was a little weird of a line. I mean, he doesn't know the whole story, so he doesn't know how implausible that sounds. But Sigsbee should have been like, "Really? They stopped to buy sandwiches?"
Right. I mean, running from the Institute is thirsty and hungry business.
He's got beef jerky for that.
Right, okay.
We haven't come back to the jerky.
All right, fair enough.
Are we gonna come back to the jerky?
I don't think we are. I think.
Wait, was the jerky in? That was episode 5, wasn't it?
Yes, it was not an episode.
We haven't rewatched episode. We got to rewatch episode 5.
We do. I was actually going to do that too because I wanted to see the effects that they replaced, because what we had was
right.
Really
we never saw.
up.
We haven't seen the final version of 5 yet. Because we've been busy, but...
Yes. So, he gets them out of the cellar, not waiting too long for them to go away. I would like it to at least have let him watch them leave before going in to get them. But yeah, he says that they're good. I forgot, he doesn't have a vehicle to give them?
He doesn't have a vehicle, and his phone's not working because nobody's phone's working.
Right.
But he does give them a rifle.
Yep, a rifle with some shotgun shells. And he says a line 3 times, the first 2 times he says it in a totally different language, and then he says, you
say it 3 times too.
When we unite, we are strong. And then we cut to Avery in the box being tortured.
The deprivation tank.
Yes, being tortured by Tony and Hendrix. And Luke feels this. We cut to Luke just kind of being woozy and feeling what Avery is going through. And he reacts poorly to it with Tim. Avery ends up blowing up the tank with his mind. And basically sending Hendrix and Tony to the floor.
Yeah. Now remember, Avery came in with TP, so they're trying to prove he's TK.
Which they just proved.
He proves it, all right.
Yes, he did.
The glass is shattered into...
a billion little pieces.
A billion pieces, yeah.
Siggs, meanwhile, decides to give her troops an inspirational speech that if Luke manages to get away out of jamming range and he tells their story to someone, that they will all be murdered and wiped from existence. Tim decides to go to Wendy's house. She comes home in a squad car. I guess that explains how she got to work. I
mean, I imagine she must have got to work where her cruiser is.
Yeah.
So either Drew picked her up or she walked. I mean, it is in walking distance. Tim's been walking back and forth.
Right, of course.
So it can't be too far.
Yep.
But I expect her first thing to be like, dude, where's my car? But she doesn't actually say that.
That was the title of the movie. So yeah, in the aftermath of Avery exploding the tank, Hendrix arises, checks his vitals. Avery isn't dead, thankfully. Hendrix has him taken to his room.
He says he's extraordinary and he's never seen anything like that. Now, I do have a question about this. Avery is shown, his face is all cut up from this experience. And throughout the rest of the episode when we see him, he's got these cuts all over his face. Shouldn't Hendrix and Tony have cuts on them as well?
Yes.
The glass exploded outwards. If anything, Avery should be the least cut up of the 3 of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if, Hendrix had, glass in his throat.
But they don't have a mark on them.
Yeah.
Avery's all cut up, and the 2 people that were actually in the room in the direction the glass exploded don't have a single mark on them.
Yes.
I feel like that was an oversight.
Probably. So Tim scares the crap out of Wendy, and then we have a little brief scene with that. Sigsbee wants to go back because the kids, when they are scared, don't run, they hide. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's true. That I'm sure she has experience, with kids and how they handle stress like this. But he's not on his own. He's with Tim. She knows that.
Right. But also, she's not wrong. Yeah. He is still in town.
No, yeah.
She was definitely right that, hey, we should split up. So she sends Nina and Mike to keep going towards Portland. She's going to head back to town with Drew.
I don't know why. But...
in case he didn't leave town.
Right.
But she's right.
Yeah, I would kick Drew out of the car because he's totally incompetent and just go with yourself. But Wendy proceeds to think that Tim is out of his mind with his story, that Luke belongs with social services, doesn't understand what Tim is doing. Luke tells her he knows it's hard to believe what they are telling her is the truth, but it is, and I guess that's enough to convince her. Stackhouse finds Hendrix saying he heard that Avery damaged the tank. And Hendrix laughs, and right at the same time that you were saying it, it's like, damaged? He blew the damn thing up. Hendrix thinks that Avery is a time bomb. He's suggesting that he needs to be gorked immediately.
He wants him to conduct Sparkler Night tonight for the keyhole. So I got confirmation of the question I've had. Is a keyhole and a sparkler the same thing? They are.
Yes.
And send him straight to recovery, meaning gorking him. And they say he could power the hum indefinitely because of how powerful he is.
Right.
Which I don't know if I understand that. So he's super powerful. That means he's not going to die as quickly?
Maybe.
I don't really understand what's happening to these kids, but okay.
Right. Avery is escorted to the back half where Nick is happy to see him. Kalisha is zombified. Joanne tells them to eat up because it's Sparkler Night. Nick tells them that Kalisha is gone. They're all gone. Nick tries to feed her, but she won't even open her mouth. Avery instructs him to hold his hand, and together they try to reach her. And then Kalisha seemingly comes back to life. She asks about Luke's escape, saying she felt it.
And all of this conversation is done telepathically. by the way. They're not talking out loud.
Not this part. Nick gives a fuck loud. Well, he said fuck yeah.
Oh, Nick didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the whole talking about the escape was done telepathically.
Right. Before being quieted by Kalisha, Joanne shines a light in their eyes for some reason and asks for a smoke and says,
She was looking for a kid that was awake.
Right.
Because most of them aren't, in a place where they're
so she was just she was shining a light, and if any of them actually responded in any kind of way, then she knew that she could actually ask them for a smoke.
Right.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Wendy, Tim, and Luke, they are all talking about going to the big city, which is where they should have gone to in the first place. But Sigsbee...
I found it funny because they're Tim and Wendy are pouring a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And Luke's we don't have time for this. We gotta go. And they're just trying to slowly come up with a plan while drinking coffee.
Sigsbee and Drew show up. Tim and Luke hide. Wendy does a terrible job.
She's very sus.
Yeah, she does not do a very good job.
There were so many ways she could have the gas station dude did so much better than her in the same situation.
And he was just as terrified.
All she had to do was believe it, go along with it, leave with them.
Right.
Oh my God, really? Tim killed the chief? Let's go find him.
Right.
Leave with them so Tim can escape.
Right. Instead, she even goes as far as to telegraph where Tim and Luke are. I mean, she's very, clearly indicating this closet.
Right.
Even though... because she's trying to, make them not look there, but in doing so...
And she's trying to defend him, he would never do that.
Right.
No, you're not making it look like you're not, covering something here.
Right. Drew opens the door, and Tim is pointing a gun at him. Tim holds a gun on Drew, while Drew points a gun at him. Actually, what Tim has is a shotgun. Tim tells Sigsbee to keep her hands where he can see him. Wendy tries to de-escalate the situation, but Drew, being the dumbass that he is, grabs Wendy... and then ends up very dead, getting a shotgun blast to the stomach, it looks like. Tim holds a gun at Sigsbee. Luke disarms her, saying he knows it might seem like a very dark time for her. Wendy tells Tim that he killed Drew, and she's very in shock at the situation.
Yeah, she's I've known him my whole life.
Right.
Yeah, you've all known each other your whole lives, and yet you're all dead.
Right.
So.
Yeah, Tim just points out, hey, look, he killed the chief and then shot him. And when he's I know, but I've known him since we were kids. I mean, clearly she's not in her right mind at this point. She's she's in shock. But yeah, Sigsbee is trying to talk her way out of the situation, but then Luke tells her that Maureen made a video, which Sigsbee finds really unfortunate because it means they are all dead. Sigsbee asks what the video contained, and Luke says all of it. Wendy, meanwhile, puts a sheet over Drew, and then tends to Tim's wound while he continues to point a gun at Sigsbee. Luke says he told him everything. Sigsbee says, no, you didn't. She sounds like a petulant child here. But
yeah, I kind of love her in this scene.
Right. She's basically because you don't know everything. Luke angrily says, what's to know? They are using kids to carry out assassinations. Sigsbee says that he's the one that felt the tale and thought he could describe the entire elephant, which is a very good line, by the way. Tim tells her how to describe the elephant. She brings up the dead senator and says that 9 years from now, he would convince the president to send nukes to Iran. But the Russians got involved, thinking they were being shot at themselves, and then nuclear annihilation. Over the past 70 years, Armageddon almost happened over 200 times. And I did the math on that, and I don't think those are the correct numbers, but when I did the math, it was 3 times a year.
Okay, so first of all, when she says in 9 years, Tim's in 9 years,
right?
What are you talking about?
Right.
And then she brings up the PC track,
right?
Yep. She's yeah, we have kids that can do that too, and they're figuring out all the times that Armageddon's going to happen, and we're stopping them. This little bit gave me Travelers. I don't think you watched that series.
I watched the first episode. I meant to watch more.
I love that show, Travelers. It's about people in the future who time travel to the past, which is our present,
yes,
to stop the world from ending.
Mm-hmm.
So this gave me that. So they're not saying time travel, they just have premonitions of the future they're dealing with, which is a little bit different, but it's the same kind of concept where they're they're manipulating our current time to fix the future.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyways, the numbers, when you and I talked about this off mic, I had the numbers wrong.
Okay.
The actual number that's said in the episode is 500 times.
Oh.
a little bit bigger of a number. I thought the number was 250 when we were talking.
Okay.
But when I was taking my notes, she said 500 times.
So how much would that be?
Well, 500 out of 74, 75 years. 7
times a year?
times a year? 7, 8? Something like that?
We've seen at least, like, 3 of them.
In a few weeks or
right.
months, if true is right.
I mean, maybe. I mean, I guess that it could just be a really busy time of the year.
Yeah, it could be they could be coming more frequently now as it's becoming more inevitable.
Not to mention, I'm having a tough time seeing how a mob boss would be involved with the end of the world.
Yeah, like we're not seeing all the beats.
Right. So I mean, it could be that we're doing these quests to save the world, and then we're doing these little side quest missions where we're killing off mob bosses for some reason.
Yeah. Or maybe she doesn't know the whole picture, because we already know she doesn't know everything.
Right.
And maybe some of it is just about making money to keep the place running.
Maybe.
Or maybe the PCs are all legit.
Right.
Maybe she thinks that's what they're doing, and that's what they were doing at one point, but now they are being run by people just trying to move political buttons or whatever.
I mean, we've already seen Hendrix and Stackhouse trying to make money off this
exactly
place,
so what makes her think that everybody else involved in the project is actually
up and up
and on mission?
Yeah, that's a good point,
because she knows very little about PC. Like, they're not allowed to talk about that side of it. So how do you know these are legit, like, world-ending events that you're being told to kill people for?
Right. So Sigsbee says that she doesn't have the luxury of being sad over dead kids or mommy and daddy missing their kids. She's saving the world, and she asked him, what would you do to save the world? Tim doesn't answer, and she's like, anything? Absolutely correct.
And she brings up how he literally killed a kid
to
keep a massacre from happening.
A different set of circumstances, but sure. So, we talked about this off air, like when we were watching this episode. This is a very extremist point of view. Like, there are other ways to achieve these means than what they choose to do here.
Yeah, it's all very strange.
Right.
Like, okay, if it's true and you have PC people that are telling you this is going to happen and this is going to happen, cool. And we need to stop these things from happening. But yeah, there's other ways to do that besides killing everybody involved.
Right.
And if you did decide you have to kill them, then there's easier ways to kill them than to have a bunch of kids do it telepathically using telekinesis and shit.
Right.
I mean...
So, yeah, I mean...
You're going through all of this to kidnap these kids and to set this up. You could put that same energy into actually just stopping the events, right?
You can hire an assassin. You can actually just set the senator to get caught with a hooker or something.
Like, there's...
Like, discredit him that way. You don't have to actually kill him. What's happening here is you're basically training up these kids to be powerful and have these superpowers, and then you're just wasting
and then
them.
You're killing them.
Right. I mean,
you're letting them just die.
Right. It's just,
by doing this.
It's just such a waste.
Yeah. How about you actually use them?
Yeah.
On teams,
right.
To go out and do things.
Right.
That doesn't kill them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I follow like how the Institute is working and why it's doing the way it does things.
I mean, if we get a second season, perhaps we'll get more
learn
insight
more about the bigger picture.
So she asks Luke to read her mind. She asks, "Am I lying?" Luke says, "Nope." But Tim points out what Luke said in the last episode, that only means that she herself believes it, not that it's not necessarily true.
Yeah, and again, we don't know how much she actually knows,
right?
And how much she could just be brainwashed into believing shit. But
she says that if Tim walks out of there with Luke in tow, he's basically putting the world on suicide watch. And that is where the episode ends. It's interesting. It's an interesting moral dilemma. What she basically gave was the ends justify the means speech.
Right.
I don't necessarily subscribe to that kind of thinking. But yeah, I mean,
we can compare it to Quantum Leap.
Okay.
As an example.
Yes.
Which isn't about changing events that are going to happen in the future, but really it is.
Right.
If you look at it from the past standpoint, it's somebody from the future being like, hey, I'm going to fix shit.
Right.
It's going to go wrong.
Another comparison.
But usually it's done without killing people.
Right. Usually. The other comparison is Minority Report. Are you familiar with that movie at all? Well, basically there's...
I don't do action, Dave.
Fair enough. It is also sci-fi. But yeah, there's basically these precogs that can see the future. They basically predict crimes, and then they get arrested for pre-crimes before they actually get a chance to carry it out.
Well, I think that's one of the things that I think it was Tim, one of the characters, said to her in this scene.
I think they did mention Minority Report.
Well, why don't you just go public with this information?
Right.
Why are you being all sneaky about it? And she was basically like, well, how do you think that would go? We can't risk it.
Right. I mean, I doubt the public would be for any of this, so no, you can't go along with.
But if they did, it'd be like what you're saying.
Right.
Like, that would be a whole new reality of where we're accepting the fact that people can read the future and know what's going to happen.
Right.
And we have to stop it.
Right.
As a society.
Now, the actual plot of that movie is like, well, the main character gets framed for a crime that he doesn't know. He's basically accused of murder of someone he doesn't even know. And he eventually discovers that there are occasionally a different version of events the precogs give, a.k.a. the Minority Report, that suggests that he won't actually commit the crime. So it kind of brings...
I think I did see, like, the first of those movies.
There was only one.
Oh, I thought there was, like, a few of them.
No, just the one.
Oh.
There is a series on it, though, also.
I think I saw it, but a long time ago and don't remember much about it because it was action-y.
Right. So, I mean, that's the other thing is, like, you know, you're getting these visions of the future, like, anything can happen that could disrupt that future. So do you know for absolute certainty that that's going to happen? Is there maybe a Minority Report that suggests that
or is there a chance that these kids are wrong?
Right, yes.
How do you know who to believe and who to trust and who's just lying?
Right. So, I mean, yeah. Interesting stuff. Definitely... I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the finale.
I felt like this episode ended abruptly. Like, it felt like they were in the middle of a conversation and then the credits roll. When it ended, I was like, oh, wait, that's the end of it? And again, just like episode 6, this is another short one by comparison. It's 45 minutes, which is the length of an hour of television, but compared to the first 5 episodes, which were all much longer.
Yeah, I'm not sure I get how they cut
MGM
episodes.
Plus does that.
Yeah, I know.
They do it with From as well, where the episodes are just random lengths. Some are a lot shorter than others.
Right. So I think the finale is going to be very interesting.
I am eager to watch it and see how this story comes together. Like, what's going to happen? Are we going to save these kids? And is that a good thing? Because does that mean we're destroying the world? Right. Or do we find some way to just save the world without killing the kids?
Right. I mean, you might still have the precogs. I don't know. They might get out.
We don't know who they are, or where they are,
or
how they are.
Right.
Is that our season 2?
Right.
Is season 2 going to be like, let's follow the precog storyline?
All right. We'd like to hear from you. What'd you think of this podcast? What'd you think of this episode? Stacie can be reached at.
I can be reached on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at TV and Coupon Talk.
If you like this video and want to support this channel, there are a number of ways to do so. You can follow me on Twitter at Korman Productions. You can join the Korman Productions Facebook page. You can buy something from the Korman Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a coffee. You can join the Korman Productions membership for 99 cents a month. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video as well as subscribe to the channel. This is Dave and Stacie from Korman Productions, signing off.